I'm not a religious indifferentist where I say, hey, Muslims, Jews, Christians, we're all the same. No, we're not. We're not the same. No. Christians are not the same as Muslims. Christians are not the same as Jews. We're right, they're wrong. Jesus Christ is God. Sorry, Allah doesn't count. It's not close enough. Yahweh doesn't count either. That's also not close enough. Jesus Christ is God. And Jesus Christ's sacrifice on the cross, which was made out of infinite, unconditional love and forgiveness for mankind, has no analog, it has no equal, and it cannot be imitated by any other false religion. So to say Judeo-Christian, I'm getting really sick of hearing that because it's an insult and it spits on Christ's sacrifice on the cross. And people that say that should be ashamed of themselves. If you're a Christian and you say Judeo-Christian, you should be ashamed of yourself. You're deeply confused. And you mock and you insult our Lord when you say that by insinuating this false and wicked tradition which evolved from the Pharisees into our civilization. Thank God for European civilization. Thank God that Christianity baptized our civilization and allowed it to be a force for good in the world. And what a shame it is that we've lost our way and we've become so confused. And we've lowered ourselves, we've diluted it, and lowered our standards to accept what, the 10 Commandments? Sorry, 10 Commandments aren't good enough. Christ is the law. Christ is the law personified. You've got some stone tablets, you've got some box. We have the word, we have the law, we have the truth. He has a face, he has a name. Alone, say it. It's not Judeo-Christian, it's just Christian.
So as you can see from my thumbnail, Nick Fuentes doesn't mix with Christianity. I want to go over some clips. I want to break down some things that I've, heard him say over the past few years. And I just want to say that I'm not a hater of Nick Fuentes. I do identify as a man of God. Nobody's perfect. I'm not trying to hold him to an impossible standard. But he's constantly calling himself a Christian. He's constantly saying Jesus is king. And when you do that, there's supposed to be a standard that we're held to as Christians. There's supposed to be a set of values that we adhere to. And I'm not seeing that from Nick Fuentes. You judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. And the fruit that Nick Fuentes is bearing is rotten fruit. It's not good fruit. And there are a few things that he constantly does that I would say make a lot of people question his walk with Christ, since he claims to be this great Christian guy. Like I said, nobody's perfect. I've struggled with sin like anybody else. I've probably committed far more sin than Nick Fuentes because I'm older than him by over 10 years. But as a man that is much more submitted to God than I've ever been before, I can offer some critiques that are very, very valid. And Nick Fuentes has the ear of a lot of young, white, conservative males, particularly Gen Z. Nick Fuentes, I think he says he's 26 years old. So that would make him born in, 99? If he turns 27 this year, he was born in 90. I don't know what year he was born, but let's just say he's 26 years old like he says he is. He has a young age. And if he continues living, which hopefully he does, I don't wish death on anybody unless they deserve it. Nick Fuentes has time to grow in the Lord and get himself truly right with Christ and become a much greater ambassador for the Most High God and the principles that are written in the Bible. So without further ado, I'm going to get into a few clips that sort of help corroborate my claim that he is not behaving like a true Christian, and his brand does not mix with Christianity. And one of the things that Nick Fuentes and a lot of white nationalists do is they obsess over race. You've made race your God. You've made race an idol. And the Bible clearly tells us that thou shalt have no other gods before me in the Ten Commandments. Idolatry is a sin. That's just what it is. You love to obsess over race. Okay? You can talk about race. You can point things out when it comes to certain demographics of people, Jews, black people, whatever. We can talk about white people. We can talk about Hispanics. We can talk about anybody. And the issues that may be prevalent in that specific demographic. But there are some things that are quite questionable when it comes to this whole racial conversation. And then there's a lot of sensationalism. There's a lot of lying going on. It's just, and I know social media, it's about clicks and views. So Nick Fuentes is very good at getting clicks and views, and that's part of the game. But you're constantly calling yourself a Christian, so you're supposed to be held to a higher standard. And people like Nick Fuentes are a prime example as to why Christians are often criticized and castigated by atheists and non-Christian people, because they believe that we're hypocrites. They believe that we confess to know the Lord and that we love God this, God that. But do we reflect Christ when we open our mouths to speak? Do we reflect Christ when we show the world how we treat people, right? So I'm going to play this first clip, and it'll give you a little bit more context as to what I'm talking about.
And he's got an ass like you wouldn't. I thought he was joking. He was like, I forget what he was saying, but dude, Kai has a crazy ass. Now I know that going to the gym is gay, because that ass goes crazy. He is caked up. It's fucking dangerous. It's like in Master of Disguise when those girls are pointing their butts at Dana Carvey. Goes crazy. So easily Kai #1.
So that's a prime example of what a lot of Nick Fuentes detractors are talking about when it comes to his sexuality. Was he joking? Maybe, but what straight man goes into great detail about the rear end of another man? He clearly said his ass, his ass. I don't really think ass is the worst word, so I'll say the word, but it just doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense for a Christian heterosexual male to go into great detail about the size of another man's rear end. He was smiling and looked like he wasn't dead serious, but he still went into great detail about it, and that's disturbing. And there have been several clips where Nick Fuentes has said things that are very sussy and that make people, I guess you could say, question his sexuality. I'm not going to dig up all the clips. You know, I got to go to the gym. I got to go to work. But I did want to react to this video. I was a little too tired to do it last night. And I don't make any money from YouTube. I don't get paid off of social media yet. But at some point, my channel will get monetized once I get enough subscribers and enough watch hours. I do this very, very part-time, as you can see by how often I upload content. I would love to do it more, but I have a very, very busy schedule with my job, with my way of making a living. So that's one of many things that make Nick Fuentes sort of at odds with the Christian religion, with the Christian faith. Is many people do believe he's a homosexual. I don't have any evidence that he is. He's never claimed that he was a homosexual, but years ago, and like I said, I don't watch Nick Fuentes all the time, but every now and then I'll see a clip of his that goes viral on Twitter, because that's where he's still platformed, and of course Rumble. His live streams are like 4 and 5 hours. I'm not finna sit and watch nobody's live stream for 4 and 5 hours. I know he's not talking for 4 and 5 hours, but he is intelligent. He is articulate. He does say a lot of things that you can't deny are true, but he also says things that are not true. And I remember one time specifically, you can I don't know if you can find the clip or not, because it was years ago. He's been kicked off of YouTube for years, but one of his groypers sent a super chat and said something about, would you rather your child grow up and marry a black person and have black kids, or become a homosexual? And his response was, I don't know about that one. Like he was joking, but what heterosexual man would joke about something like that? To be honest with you, as a black male, I most likely will marry a black woman. I mean, I don't have anything against white or any other groups of people, but most people marry within their own demographic. That's natural. I do love black women. I also find white women and Hispanic women and Asian. I find all types of women attractive. No race of women has the exclusive to beauty, right? All women can be beautiful. There's beauty in every race of women, right? If she fine, she fine. But if my child grew up and decided they wanted to make a half white, half black child with somebody of another race or whatever, I'm not going to get upset about that. And I'm certainly not going to say, I don't know, maybe I would consider them being gay instead. That's racial idolatry. And to not just have a quick, response like, man, nah, I'm cool with the gay child. I want my child to be straight. So like I said, that's just two of many examples that I have seen and that many people have seen of Nick Fuentes being very sussy, and that's not compatible with Christianity. You're either hetero or homo, and we know what God says about homosexuality in the Bible. We know what Leviticus 18:22 says about it being an abomination. We don't have to go down that road, but that's just one of many different clips that you can find of him being very sussy. I'm gonna play another one where he attacked Jason Whitlock because Jason Whitlock offended him when it came to him not showing very strong Christian values.
And by the way, you are a token. Hey, Jason, you're a token. You are in conservative media as a black guy that can confer upon white people the dignity of not being called a racist for having their views. That's why you get paid. And that's why I don't, because I didn't have the privilege of being born black. I was born white, so there's a limit on what I can say.
I'm going to stop the clip right there. Do you see how obsessed he is with race? You're a black guy. I was born white. Like these white nationalist types, y'all, not all white people are white nationalists. I don't think the majority of white people are white nationalists. But you can't call yourself a Christian and be race obsessed, man. You can't. That man, God made everybody whatever color he made us. We did not ask to be born black. Y'all didn't ask to be born white. Hispanic didn't ask to be Hispanic. Asian didn't ask to be Asian. Nobody is in control of how they were born. That's just something that it happens how it happens, right? But dude, the obsession with race is just, it's bonkers to me. It's wild to me. That's not Christian at all. And I'm going to play the rest of the clip in a minute. Nick Fuentes uses a lot of foul language. Okay. That's not Christian. He uses a lot of profanity. Okay. And I used to use a lot of profanity when I was younger and I was less mature in my walk with Christ. It's a process. I get it. But if you keep claiming to be Christian, if you're selling shirts that say Christ is King, you're constantly putting on Twitter, Christ is King. I need you to reflect Christ a little bit more, buddy. That's just what I'm saying. Straight up. But let me let the rest of the clip continue and you can hear his filthy mouth.
There's a limit on what I can say without being penalized in the so-called free marketplace of ideas. And everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows. And everybody's sick of it, especially in the conservative space, that blacks have had it easy. It is, and I don't doubt that he's a sincere person. I'm sure he's a sincere person. I'm sure he's genuine. But you are playing by a different set of rules, pal. You have training wheels on. You think you've earned it? Everything you have. Take a look around at your studio, your contract, your employees. If you said the stuff that you said as a white person, your ass would be fucking gone. And everybody knows that. You're on Blaze hosting E. Michael Jones talking about the Jews. It's a good fucking thing you're black, because if you weren't, you would have been fired like Elijah Schaffer.
Okay, so there you have it. That's the end of that particular clip I'm going to play. I have one more. I could do this all day, but the video is already 16 minutes long. You know how long videos can get when you start talking. Can both fresh water and salt water flow from the same spring? My brothers and sisters, can a fig tree bear olives or a grapevine bear figs? Neither. That's from the book of James. And that's basically the Bible talking about how you can't do both. You can't be on both sides. And that's a problem that a lot of Christians have. Like I said, Nick Fuentes uses a lot of profanity. And I get it. He's upset. He's emotional. As a masculine man, you have to learn how to control your emotions. Like I said, Nick Fuentes is young. I'm not making no excuses for him. But when you're constantly claiming Christ, man, you open yourself up to all kind of criticism because you're not reflecting Christ at all. Like that type of language is unnecessary and it's uncalled for. As intelligent as you are, you can substitute those profane words with normal words. God is not a fan of profanity. God does not want us using profane language. I don't care how much of a fanboy of Nick Fuentes you are, you cannot deny the Bible. A lot of y'all probably don't even read the Bible.
It's a shame. I really do believe, look, I think black people are not irredeemable, but there just needs to be brutal honesty. It's like, look, these black people are really struggling and they're turning into these maniacs. It seems like they don't do anything right. They're obnoxious, they're rude, they're inconsiderate, aggressive, cruel. And, look, nobody hates black people for being black. If there are people like that, I think that's exceedingly rare. If you live your life and you know that you're going to be mugged by black people, it kind of colors your opinion or perception of black people, wouldn't you say? If 99% of the carjackings and stabbings and shootings that you see in Chicago are by black people, when you're walking down the street late at night, guess what you're looking for? Black people. And you equate that with danger. And it doesn't take a lot of them to spoil the whole bunch like that. And we just want black people to take accountability and say, look, I'm not a bad person. I'm not a bad person. It just seems that every time I encounter you people, for the most part, it's negative. And sometimes extremely negative, like I could get a gun in my face.
Okay, so that's a big chunk of the clip, that his most recently viral clip about black people and talking about our issues and, how we're violent and obnoxious and all this stuff he said. And is there some truth to some of the stuff he said? Absolutely. We have some serious, just worthless, just useless, insane, garbage black people. There are some trash black people. That is a fact. And yes, there's trash in every race, but I want to stay focused on what he said in that clip. Okay. For the most part, every encounter I have with black people is extremely negative. I don't know what type of black people he's interacting with, but the facts are what they are. Black people and white people interact with each other every single day. There are millions of interactions between black people every day with white people. We work together. We eat together, right? We are entertained together. We go to a football game, whether it's a college game or an NFL game, and we high five each other when our team scores a touchdown. The overwhelming majority of the time when black folks and white folks are around each other, it's not a fight. It's not a violent encounter. The black person is not robbing the white person. That's just not true. That's a lie. It's not always negative. Just like every time I encounter white people, they're not always being racist. See, the black racists and the white racists are one and the same. They look different, but their mentality is the same. They both engage in racial idolatry. All these pro-blackity blacks always talking trash about white people, they're trash. All these pro-white, whitey white people that's always talking trash about black people, they're trash. They're the same. A black racist and a white racist are the same to me. They're both goofballs. They're both useless. I have no desire to be around either one of them. Okay? And what a lot of the white nationalists are doing is they're constantly complaining about these video clips of black people jumping white people. The situation we had a couple weeks ago in Cincinnati. Just the crime stats are a real thing. Yes, like I said, we do have some trash black people. The black on white crime rate is higher versus the white on black crime rate. We do have some issues. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that that the ninjas, as I'll call them, are not a problem. A lot of black people don't like them. Nobody. They don't even like each other. You got plenty of black conservatives that have made pretty big platforms and made a lot of money demonizing the ninjas and highlighting the ghetto dysfunctional behavior that you see taking place in the black community. But that's not the majority of us. And the overwhelming majority of the time when black people and white people are around each other, it's not a fight. It's not violent. That's just not true. It's not true. And he knows it's not true. But he's a master at, emotional manipulation and getting clicks and views. And that's fine. I'm not mad at him for getting his money. Get your money, young man. All right? Get your money. But like I said, I just went kayaking last Sunday up in the North Metro Atlanta. I'm from Atlanta, and the northern suburbs is they're totally different than the southern suburbs for a lot of reasons. They're wider, they're more affluent, of course. But the Chattahoochee River, for those of y'all that are familiar with the state of Georgia, with Metro Atlanta, that's our primary river that we use for drinking water, recreation, etc. It's the biggest river in the metro area, and it's cleaner and safer to kayak or get in the water on the north side versus the south side, because there's a couple of water reclamation facilities in the city where they dump treated wastewater back into the river, and you don't want to get in that water because it's the E. coli levels are higher. And I brought my kayaking trip up because it was about 4 white people, 2 Hispanic people, and 1 other black person. Let me see, 4 plus 2, 6, myself, and then so it was 9 of us total. And wait a minute. 2 black people, me and another black woman, 2 Hispanics, and 5 white people. Okay, it was 5 white people. So it was 9 of us total. And man, these white people that were it was a class I was taking because I'm trying to learn how to be a whitewater kayaker. And in order for me to do it safe, I need to know what I'm doing. Man, these white people were so respectful. They were so informative, knowledgeable about the sport. They taught me things I didn't know. They gave me a helmet. They put a plug in my boat because my plug was missing. And I don't know how many people watching this video know about kayaking, but they treated me so well. They showed me so much love and respect. That's just one of many examples I'm talking about. Like I said, we do things together every single day. Black and white are around each other every single day. Every day we're around each other. And that's for those of us that's around each other. Most white people live in majority white communities. Most white people live amongst each other. Most white people don't even deal with black people every day. But it's easy to get on social media and talk your talk when you see these video clips that's going viral. Some of them are old. Some of these clips are old, and they just keep getting recycled to get a rise out of people. And some of them are recent. Like I said, there is a disparity. We do have a violence problem in the black community. We do have a lot of degeneracy in the black community, but it's not the majority of us. And the majority of white people, when y'all come into contact with black people, it's not an extremely negative experience. It's just not. That's not true. We do need to do something about the crime in black America, though. And I ain't going to go into graphic detail about what's going on in white America. I'm going to do another video in the near future, so stay tuned. And I'm going to talk about why the white nationalist movement is trash and why white nationalists are extremely dishonest and disingenuous. Because it's a lot of things that have happened in our nation and that are happening in our nation that are at the hands of white men. White men have caused a lot of destruction in our country. Okay. And that's not what this video is about. This video is about Nick Fuentes. So I'm going to leave that conversation for another video. And Nick Fuentes does call out white men. He calls out Trump. He didn't vote for Trump. That's what he says. He told his followers not to vote for Trump. And his Groyper army, who's so loyal to him. And let me just say this right here before I play this last clip. Y'all worship that boy. The white men under 30 that love Nick, y'all have made him a god. Y'all are idolizing him. You can't be a Christian and make another man an idol. Y'all will cancel people. Y'all will attack people. Y'all will call people names that disagree with Nick Fuentes. That's idolatry, and that's a sin. Let me go ahead and play my last clip so I can get out of here.
I'm not a conservative. I'm not a Republican, and I'm not voting for Trump. I am not voting for your Israel Trojan horse. I like Trump as a guy. I think they either have a gun to his head or they just tricked him. I think he's a good man, but he is effectively operating as a Trojan horse for Israel. I'm not voting for it. I'm not voting for J.D. Vance to redefine the right wing to be friendly to Israel, America first to be friendly to Israel. I'm not Republican. I'm not conservative. I am a nationalist. I am a Catholic. I am a Roman. I am a nationalist. I am an American.
So this is my final post about Nick. This was one of his Twitter posts. I reject Elon's call to Christian principles. Nothing can be called Christian without the person of Jesus Christ, his divinity, and his sacrifice on the cross. I believe in Jesus Christ and his real presence in the Eucharist, not principles. So that was him going at Elon Musk last October. Like I said, he's constantly posting stuff about God, Christ, constantly saying Jesus is king, etc., etc. But he has a good bit of work to do to be a person that truly reflects Christ. And like I said, when it comes to the racial idolatry, man, we can go tit for tat all day long. Like I said, the truth is what it is. The stats do show that black and white criminality is different. The majority of crime in this country is committed by white people simply because the numbers of white people compared to other demographics. The overall crime totals, I think 26% of all crimes reported by the FBI are committed by black people, which is double the rate of our population, 13%, but 26% of all crimes, 52% of all homicides, over 50% of all homicide victims. That's a problem. But we just had a white male murder a black police officer here in my home state of Georgia at the CDC, Centers for Disease Control. You can look it up right now. CDC shooting. It made national headlines. Does that mean all of white people are criminals and shooters and killers of cops? No, this was an innocent black cop just doing his job, and he got smoked by this deranged lunatic. You see what I'm saying? So, like I said, I'm not here to go tit for tat. I'm just saying, like, the racial idolatry, the being deliberately disingenuous, the foul language all the time, the homosexual innuendo, multiple examples of it, bro. That's not Christ, bro. It's just not. I'm sorry, it's not. So y'all keep following him. That's y'all homie. That's y'all boy. I look at him every now and then. A broken clock is right twice a day. Some stuff he says is true. Some stuff he says is not. He exaggerates the truth a lot. He wants to get money. He wants to do what every other content creator is doing. And I'm not hating on him. I'm just being honest. So I'm going to wrap the video up. It's almost 30 minutes. I know that's longer than I wanted it to be, but I had to get this off my chest. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Am I tripping? Am I wrong? Or is there some veracity to what's coming out of my mouth? Is Nick Fuentes this 100% great Christian? Of course, he's not perfect. Nobody claiming he's perfect. He's never claimed to be perfect. But you can't talk about Christ all day and reflect somebody that don't know Christ. I don't even know if Nick Fuentes has ever had an encounter with the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit will cleanse you of things that are not of him. If you know, you know. And without further ado, y'all like, y'all share, y'all subscribe, y'all comment. Let me know what y'all think. Peace.